This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
We're now going to go through and move on to looking at the position, how we analyse the statement of financial position. We've gone through and looked at the statement of profit or loss and how to analyse performance, focusing on ratios such as the margins, the asset turnover, return on capital employed. Now we bring it into the statement of financial position. And the first videos here are going to focus on liquidity and working capital, before in the following ones we then begin to look at solvency and then start to piece it all together with an example. So what have we got? Well, if we go through there and look at your liquidity, the key thing about your liquidity is you're thinking cash, aren't we? That's what cash is. Cash is ultimately your liquidity. So when we're analysing the liquidity, we're analysing this cash balance and seeing whether or not we have enough of our cash and our other liquid assets to be able to pay the debts as they fall due. So please note, in any question, don't dive in and analyse the liquidity ratios, the current ratio, the quick ratio. No. You need to go through that. First of all, analyse the cash balance, and then once you've looked at the cash balance and the reason why it's gone up or why it's gone down, you can then support that with the liquidity ratios. So looking here in terms of your liquidity, is it at your current ratio? So looking at whether or not we have sufficient current assets to cover our current liabilities. So current assets being quite simply inventory, receivables and cash. Okay. Your current liabilities are looking there, aren't they, at any current liabilities you have, such as your trade payables, interest payables, dividend payables, lease liabilities that you may have. So any current liabilities divided into any current assets that you have. Okay. And remember, it's quoted as X to 1. Okay. As a proportion. How many more times of the assets do we have in terms of proportion to the liabilities? However, the only issue that you've got with the current ratio is that it includes your inventory, doesn't it? Which is the least liquid asset of all. So therefore, what we can do is we can look at the quick ratio, or acid test as people prefer to call it. Randomly, that's something that everybody remembers. The quick ratio is the acid test. Calculate it. I can't. Okay. But there we go. So you take your current assets with no inventory at all, so effectively receivables and cash, divide it by your current liabilities to give you a better indicator of the liquidity of the business. Okay. Then what you've got is looking at your working capital aspect, so inventory days, receivable days and payable days. And we tend to look at them in isolation. We tend not to look at the working capital cycle overall. You can leave that for the world of financial management. Okay, or performance management, whichever one it appears within. You see a lot more detail within those subjects with regards to liquidity. Looking at Barnwell, is it Miller or, yeah, all alien to me. Okay, I have a vague recollection of doing it all a long time ago. My focus is on financial reporting. My focus is on your inventory, receivable and payable days and the movement therein. So in terms of your inventory days, dead simple. Inventory divided by cost of sales multiplied by 365. So you're effectively taking a statement of financial position figure, dividing it by a profit or loss figure for each of inventory, receivable and payables, and then multiplying it by 365. Okay. To get it there for that annual period. Okay. So what you can have is an increase in days. So it's taking you longer to sell your inventory, or a reduction in days. So you're selling your inventory quicker. So if your days have gone up, what's the issues that you've got? Risk of obsolescence. You know, if you are a fashion industry, a technology industry, you don't want a build up of old goods, because if that's the case, you then run the risk of having to write down your inventory when people no longer require the most recent styles, because we're moved into the next year in terms of your fashion or your technology. There's a brand new mobile phone that's being released, and therefore the older one has fallen in value. So yeah, we have risk there. You can tie that into your performance as well in future. Stock holding costs, the more inventory you have, the more you have to pay to hold it. Particularly an issue if you've got valuable goods with the insurance, particularly if you have perishable goods in terms of the freezing of them. And that increase in the holding cost can reduce your profitability and impact your performance. It could be that you've made bulk purchases at the end of the year, so in order to reduce your cost, you've gone through there and made some bulk purchases, and that bumped up the inventory at the end of the year, and therefore giving you higher inventory days than what you would have expected. So that could just be a timing issue as opposed to a big concern. And then it could be just a change in the inventory profile. You know, if you look at your supermarkets, in the old days, they were just greengrocers, weren't they? They used to sell groceries, food, milk, eggs, bread, you know, all these perishable goods. So their inventory days were very small, weren't they? But now as they begin to sell bigger items, more valuable items, the number of days that they hold their overall inventory has changed, hasn't it? Because you don't sell your televisions as quick. You don't sell your clothes as quickly as what you do your food goods. Okay. And then it could be you've got an unpopular new product. You've gone through there, you thought, wow, this is it. This is going to break the mold. We're going to be able to go through and sell loads of this fantastic new product, and it's just usurped by your competitor. They get in there first. It's better. It's faster. It's more reliable. It's more efficient. And therefore your product is not required. And therefore you're left with all this old inventory and an increase in the number of days. If the days have gone down, that's good from a cash perspective, isn't it? Because you're selling the inventory quicker and therefore able to get the cash in quicker. But you do run the risk of stock out. So that's a particular risk if you're coming up to times of the year when those goods are going to be sold. So toys for Christmas, barbecues and outdoor furniture as we get towards summer. Okay. You don't want to have a really warm summer's weekend and you have no barbecues, no outdoor furniture to sell to everybody who's coming out of the woodwork because it's been a cold, wet winter and buying those goods. Okay. Could be that you've got inefficiencies in production, so therefore you have less inventory at the end of the year and therefore less inventory days. So it's about understanding your inventory days and then calculating it and then explaining it within the exam. Practice is what you need to do. Okay. Receivable days. That's looking at the number of days it takes to collect cash from the customer. Again, similar process. You take your receivables, divide by credit sales. So position divided by performance, multiplied by 365. Just be careful. I don't think it's going to be an issue in financial reporting because you're not given a credit sales figure within your performance statement. But you should use your credit sales because cash sales don't give rise to receivables, do they? Credit sales do. But we assume that your cash sales are such a small proportion of your total sales that you can just use total sales. Okay? I think that's more of a financial management point, isn't it? There we go. Again, similar process. Increase in days, so it's taking you longer to get the cash in. A reduction in days, so you're getting the cash in quicker. What have we got? So days have gone up. Inefficiencies in collection. You haven't been able to collect the cash in quicker. Maybe you've had a high turnover of staff and people are still learning the ropes in order to get the procedures up to speed. Okay. Hopefully that will rectify itself next year. You may have started selling overseas. Brings in additional risk in terms of foreign exchange, but it takes longer to get the cash in, doesn't it? In terms of the communication, the transfer of the funds takes a little bit longer as well. So therefore there's an increase in your receivable days. Because you grant longer credit terms, don't we, to overseas customers. As the days go up, you can then think about the impact on profitability. There's a risk there of irrecoverable debts, isn't there? You might go through there and have to create an allowance against those debts that you don't perceive you will collect in. So going back and starting to look at your financial instruments, but just a bit too much. Okay, and your impairment of financial assets. Days have gone down. Maybe you've implemented new procedures within your credit control department. That means the cash is coming quicker. So prompted invoicing, chasing up old invoices, phoning the customer to try and get the cash in quicker. And that's improved your overall credit control, reduce the number of days and increase your cash position. Might be a change in your customer terms. Okay, you've decided to go through there and reduce the number of days that were previously offered. Okay, just to get your cash in quicker. In terms of those terms, okay, it could be that maybe you've offered prompt payment discounts. I nearly forgot about that one there. Okay, if you offer prompt payment discounts, it costs the business, so it might impact performance on a slightly negative basis, but you've gone through there and got the cash in quicker. If you're given a 2%, 3% discount to pay much quicker as a customer, you will. Okay, or you will. Okay. So therefore, that change in the term, the offering of the discount, reduces the receivable days or your receivables collection period. Payable days looks at how long it takes us to pay our supplier. So again, we take a position figure divided by a performance figure. So payables divided by credit purchases. Okay, again, we're just going to use purchases. In our exam, we're not even going to use credit purchases. We're going to use cost of sales, but we don't have a credit purchases figure. Okay. So again, what happens if we have an increase in days or a reduction in our days? The increase in days is good. It's taking us longer to pay the supplier. So therefore, we have an improved cash position. Okay. Okay, so therefore, as well as it being beneficial, it could also indicate some cash flow issues. Okay, the reason why you've got no ability to pay is because you've got no cash. Okay, yes, it's good from a cash flow perspective, but there could be underlying cash flow issues. Okay, it could be that you've negotiated better terms with your supplier. So maybe you were previously paying 30 days because you've been a regular payer on time. Maybe they've extended that to 45 days. If there is an increase in your number of days, there is that risk of losing your supplier goodwill because they're not happy with you extending the length of credit that you are taking. Okay, it's free to you, but it costs the business. Okay, I should say it's free to the supplier, but it costs the business. Okay, so there's a risk there of losing that supplier goodwill. Or maybe you just decided to use the terms on offer. Maybe you had 30 days and you're paying on 20 days terms. Like, well, why pay in 20 when you've got 30? Extend your credit period. Take advantage of that free period, that extra 10 days, for no risk of losing your supplier goodwill. And because, there's no cash flow issues, you're just using the terms available to you. And therefore keeping that cash back within your business and reducing your overall working capital cycle. Okay, the cash collection period. So, 99 times out of 100, it's a negative sign. But it can be seen as a good thing if you're just using the terms that you have available. Reduction in number of days. Maybe you've had payment issues in the past. So I've implemented a new automated payment system, which pays things that little bit quicker and on time. Okay. So not so great from a cash flow perspective, but good in terms of keeping your supplier happy. And it could be that you've taken advantage of your prompt payment discounts. Okay, you've been told that if you pay quicker, you pay less. So by paying less and paying quicker, that the days have decreased. Okay, so that goes through there and looks at your payable days, your receivable days, your inventory days, as well as looking at the liquidity ratios. But first of all, thinking about cash as being the focus of your liquidity. Okay, so that's it in terms of liquidity and working capital. In the next video, we're going to go through there and have a look at your solvency before we then start thinking about some of the examples.